When you think of the late 2000s, early 2010s, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it the phenomenon of Dark Souls? Is it living in the pure utopia that is the world before wasting your life on Destiny with the boys? Is it still living at home with your family and enjoying the housing crisis of 2008? Well, for me it was going to my friends' houses to play Halo 3, Resident Evil 4, Gears of War 2, and Call of Duty, leading us to dip our toes into other game genres with games like Dark Souls, Supreme Commander 2, and Minecraft. During this time, I would venture out on my own and stumble across a little-known game, StarCraft, and was hooked on it ever since. The sense of being enraptured in the world and the story of the campaigns, witnessing the struggles against the Big Eye tentacle monster known as the Overmind, seeing Mengsk toss aside alliances for power, and 1998's Dami Mommy of the Year award winner, Sarah Kerrigan, becoming the queen bitch of the universe, overthrowing the UED, and playing Jim and Phoenix like a damn fiddle. The way Blizzard handled character motivations and the nuance that the series displayed was expertly done to a then at the time teenage Zasu. It probably goes without question, but I didn't experience StarCraft when it was released. Heck, I was barely even sentient at that time, but that doesn't change the fact that I fell in love with this series. Even though my countless attempts to get my friends to play it with me were complete and utter failures, I constantly brought it up and how much I would have loved to see a sequel to Brood War. Then, out of seemingly nowhere, the BlizzCon trailer for Wings of Liberty got me so hyped, but I wouldn't be able to buy StarCraft 2 upon release. I would bide my time and I would watch Day 9 dailies and many Let's Plays of the game before I ever got my hands on it. I didn't purchase Wings of Liberty until I was a senior in high school in 2012, when I had my own money and a job to pay for things. While I may have missed out on the days of no Tech Lab Reapers, or the seemingly impossible, brutal all-in air, I eventually got to experience this game to myself. My relationship with this game and its story expansions up until recently has been very casual at best, negligent at worst. With recent memory, I would watch Jay Barrino's brutal walkthroughs for every campaign, purchase all the Nova mission packs on release, dip into co-op when I could find people to play with, and just replay the main campaigns or Mass Recall on normal or casual. However, something in me changed within the past month. What it was, I'm not entirely sure, but when I saw the Nova banner for PvP, something in my mind activated as if I were secretly a UED sleeper agent and went, yeah, I need that. Put off by needing to 100% Nova covert ops initially, I stepped into a whole new world of StarCraft 2. Because of my desire to get that banner, obviously, I started with Nova covert ops, going through and completing all the main achievements on normal. Okay, I thought, cool, I got all of these done, but why doesn't it say 100%? Oh. That's when I noticed the tab that said Mastery. That's when I knew I was in way over my head on this. Playing the game on hard and doing the wacky achievements? There was no way I had the skill to do this. Next thing I knew, slowly but surely, I was getting them done one at a time. There was no real snag until Night Terrors.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
This mission haunts me still to this day. I spent way too much time on this godforsaken map making sure that the pain-in-the-ass Tal'Darim don't get sniped by a rogue missile turret, or walk into a fully fortified bunker on accident. Having to speedrun this mission was a pain, and to make sure not to step in front of any of the Tal'Darim forces really had me questioning my sanity here. Was it really worth it for a banner? Would I ever see the sun again? Did I turn off the oven? Were questions that crept through my mind at that point, but eventually I saw it. Friendly competition, and thought, whew, glad that's over, and moved on. The rest of the mastery achievements after that point, pretty straightforward. Need anti-air, Liberators, or Goliaths. Need anti-ground? All hail the mighty siege tank. Outside of pathing issues on micro missions and night terrors, Nova Covert Ops was pretty smooth sailing as an experience. After that, I turned my attention to the holy grail of StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, and the rest of the campaigns. I felt a pit in my stomach when I realized I needed to complete every mission on Brutal, and while I did attempt my Brutal missions through the archives, the tech and lab upgrades I had purchased on Hard were not going to help me on All-In. I concluded that I had to restart a campaign to get the right tech, so to Casual I went. Wait, Naz, you said Casual? Why wouldn't you just start a whole new playthrough on Brutal? Well, you see, here's the thing. I may or may not have put too much stress on how hard Brutal would be and wanted to do it through the archives so I didn't have to skip cutscenes. So, Casual it was. Making sure to buy the right upgrades in the armory and lab, I felt confident to go through the missions on Brutal. Speaking of Brutal difficulty, why is it there's always one mission that seems so difficult but the rest are easy? Maybe not Wings of Liberty from my experience, but the rest of the campaigns I had this feeling. In Heart of the Swarm, waiting for the brood to show up on Rendezvous felt like I was constantly getting outmatched. Legacy of the Void's Spear of Vadun chewed me up and spat me back out multiple times. But Wings of Liberty felt really balanced, like while sure, there were moments when I could lose, it definitely felt more satisfying to come out the other side of that situation. Otherwise, I really over-exaggerated how hard Brutal would be overall, and I feel the reliance on hero units or ability bars really degraded the experience of the game. Most notably, the overpowered abilities of Kerrigan and the Spear of Adun. Heart of the Swarm was the easiest Brutal experience out of the three, with Legacy of the Void and Wings of Liberty after that. The challenge in Wings of Liberty really sold to me how much of an underdog we were, whereas the Swarm wasn't about the Swarm at all, but was a vessel for Kerrigan to have main protagonist energy. I'm not too keen on that type of design for a strategy game, when units have clear counters and roles to their kit, and Kerrigan can just walk up and go zappy zap zap to some units and never get punished for it. One real redeeming thing about Heart of the Swarm were the evolutions every unit had. While it didn't make all the units completely useful, it made the core units of the army have more versatility in their playstyle. Obviously, in comparison, Terran are the staple champions in versatility with multiple options for multiple things. Besides Wraiths and Fire Bats, those things belong in the trash. Really lets me get creative with how I tackle a mission. Especially pairing things with the Banshee, my beloved. I love those beautiful wings. Those sexy blades. The stunning curves. Wait, what? I think this wouldn't be complete without mentioning a few of my favorite missions and experiences while doing this. I loved how in Engine of Destruction, they gave the Wraith that can admittedly attack air and ground units, but is an objectively worse option than spending all the money for Vikings and Banshees. The Dig Master achievement when you need to destroy all the Tal'Darim buildings, I did it the hard way by walking up the ramp with rows of siege tanks and a bio ball, and I kept getting eviscerated until the game just gave it to me. Side note, Archons can go die for all I care. Mobius Factor is just an overall fun time. Hot dropping units onto buildings and island dropping for the first half, then a mad dash sprint to the end is always a fun time. I absolutely love Gates of Hell, and the changes they've made to make the win condition to kill the Night Swarms forces the player to traverse the map to Warfield. All-In is the peak StarCraft 2 holdout mission, as the Swarm feels infinite and undying. The stress of seeing Kerrigan walk up and blast 7 of my siege tanks before I can even contemplate her arrival is excruciating, but really sells her threat. All of Heart of the Swarm on Brutal was a snooze fest, but some of the mastery achievements were painful. Destroying all the Dominion forces before the Brood arrives in Rendezvous had me stuck there for what felt like an hour. Pushing to kill the Odin in The Reckoning before Minx sends it out was killer when there are just a metric fuckton of units that I couldn't seem to push through. Legacy of the Void Brutal was pretty snooze as well, except for the Spear of Adun, where Its constant waves of enemies made it feel like I had to speedrun it. As well, that hard mastery achievement was difficult because the Zerg base has exactly what they need to murder stalkers and zealots with ease. I never want to touch the epilogue missions ever again. No thank you. Those bad upgrades in each mission just make them all a pain to complete the master achievements for. Except for on Amon's Fall, where mass mutalisks can snipe 3 of the void crystals really fast. Nova Covert Ops being the first one I pushed through had me really learn that I needed to speed everything I did up. And my favorites were Enemy Intelligence, Trouble in Paradise, and Dark Skies. Doing all the campaigns on Brutal and Hard for the Master Achievements really made me appreciate the design of the missions, made me appreciate the way the units interact with each other, and made me fall in love with this game in a way I never thought I would. Through the past month, I have constantly been thinking about this game, the things that I had to achieve in these playthroughs, and just the feel of how satisfying it was to complete. Was this piece just to show how much I simp for the Terran faction and how bad I am at RTS games, thinking that 100%ing the story missions makes me special? Probably, but I'm not ashamed to admit it. Lately I've been feeling that gaming has been so much about spending time doing things I don't enjoy out of a feeling of obligation or a fear of missing out, and spending my time actively improving at a game and challenging myself really put into perspective how I can overcome difficult challenges put in front of me. Even though it took me 14 years after this game came out, I can clearly and definitively say that StarCraft 2 has changed me. For the better? Who knows, but only time will tell. Until next time, Nazasu out.